Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the slightly late arrival this morning. Also, not that I'm crazy about AMC, I was just a little too lazy to change the thumbnail. So we're just kind of rocking and rolling with an AMC thumbnail, although I'm not like specifically crazy about the stock. All right, so we'll get ready to rock and roll here in a second. Today we have had the stock SPI moving, MTSL moving, SGOC had a gap up, and then there was also TPST that was moving this morning. So there was a couple things moving this morning. All right, so we'll get into first, why not AMC? So I think the last time we were on was obviously Friday. I think the recommendation was the long targets kind of at most. Well, let me just go back and just redo it really quickly. Yeah, I think we had at most targets up to here. Remember that guy. We got this guy here. But anyways, I remember we said it had potential dip to support or long. Either way, we didn't really do much of either. Just kind of had an inside day. So let's see. So right now on the day, we're currently on support. So realistically, AMC is on support. These two red lines are kind of a support, right? Let me show you. If you look at the 4-hour chart, you will see you have a half deviation price, that dotted line right at 45.95. So for AMC to kind of break up on the day, you would have to get up and through 45.99, which will probably change a little bit at market open, but it's right around 45.99 right now that the market would have to get up and above to kind of break for the day. And you'll notice that's pretty much the pre-market high, right? If you look at the first 4-hour trading candle of today, you will notice that its high is 45.99. So when you look at the 4-hour chart and you see where this dotted white line's at, you'll realize that's what created the pre-market high. So the reason we have the pre-market high here is because we have half deviation resistance there. So in order for AMC to break up on the day, you got to get through that point. All right, so I think AMC is on support, so a portion of the market's going to try to hold it here at the open. Now, in the event that support actually fails, which I don't really think it is, but if it does, if support actually failed and broke, you don't really have support down until 37.15 or 37.15. Gotcha. So again, I don't think support's going to break today, but if it did, you don't really have much support until pretty much the low of day from, I think that was Thursday's trading session. So to put it simply, this is a day where I'm not really crazy about AMC on the long unless we're coming back up and breaking through 45.96, and I'm not trying to do a reversal long bounce unless the market was down at 37.32. So you'd look for a reversal long bounce at 37.32, or you look for kind of a long breakout play at the pre-market high, or you look for consolidation, candlestick formation, volume, whatever, to define whether or not AMC is holding the support of 44.44, and then you look for a move up to 46. So there's a couple ways this can play out, right? You can just have the consolidation support hold at 44 that then pushes the market up to 46 to retest the pre-market high resistance. You can have a breakout long at the pre-market high resistance, or you can have a reversal long down at 37. Those are kind of the three long setups that I would see. So for now, I'm not doing anything with it because I really haven't decided whether or not this is really going to run to the upside. So I'm just neutral watching AMC, but these are really the three price points that you'd be paying attention to on the day for AMC. All right, SPCE, for sure we'll talk about. So SPCE news, Richard Branson goes to space, orbital space, suborbital space, whatever you want to call it. Comes back to Earth successfully. SPCE gaps up. This is a stock I traded Friday, got my ass kicked. I think I lost like $1,800, and not altogether on this stock, but for the day, but maybe it was like $1,500 on this stock, so just didn't trade it very well. Anyways, so today the market's sold all the way back off. They filled the gap on the day. That's pretty much like really all there is to say. I feel like this has turned into sort of a buy the rumor, sell the news event where everyone bought up into SPCE in anticipation of the return of successful launch and return of the Richard Branson spacecraft, for lack of better words. So let me just redo my analysis here because I think they did play. So it went up to 59.99. Don't really have anything there. Yeah. I don't really have a support. I have that. I have this. This. And that. Okay. That's pretty straightforward. Yeah, I don't have reversal long support on SPCE until 47 to 46. So looking for a reversal bounce, I would assume exists down here. But I also think you'll see SPCE bounce at the open and retest this level of resistance, 52 to 52.75. So your current resistance on the market intraday is 52 to 52.50s to 52. Reversal long support is down at 47 to 46.72 for the time being. So if you want to do reversal bounce, you're in at 46.47. If you want a long to try to retest the resistance, you're going to be going however you determine that. That's up to you. That's going to happen on its own. But this is like AMC too, like on AMC on a couple days back. So this was like this day, right? AMC had been down in the morning, but then shot. It didn't even go to the reversal support, which was down here. It shied it and then just reversed back to resistance and broke through. So that's kind of what I was thinking you could see with SPCE is kind of a bounce back up on the day to retest this resistance zone and then maybe see it swing lower. Whew. A lot of talking. All right, now we're going to pop over into some pennies. So we have SPI that was moving this morning or started moving this morning. I took a long up here pretty much right at the highs, closed into this red candle for a loss of like 170. The only reason I did that was I was trying to get us up to the +1 deviation mark, but it was unsuccessful. We just shied away from it. So kind of sucked in that regard. So with SPI today, it has some news about, I think, a truck they made or something. SPI Energy Edison Future launches next generation electric pickup truck. So that's the news. So it does have some news. That's a bonus. I was trying to get it up to about $8 this morning. It stopped at like 750-ish, all right? And then it pulled back to the half deviations. So the best way I can explain this is if I zoom in, you're going to see these dotted lines like here. Let me do it like this. If I zoom in, you see we have these dotted white lines, all right? Now, when we go look at the 4-hour chart, you're going to see that we have this solid yellow line here, and then we also have a dotted white line there. Cool. So when we go look at the 1-minute chart, basically the way that I was trading it this morning was I was going long into this high, and as long as we stayed trading above these red lines on the pullback, then I would stay long on it because we would be over pullback support. You can see we've dipped below those. That's where the breakdown happened, so I closed the trade, and now I'm just waiting to see if we can come back up and get through these levels. If we can get SPI back up through 711 and through the 726, that would almost be the market pulling back to the half deviations, going below, gaining momentum, and breaking back through resistance, which therefore could potentially take us up to $8. So we're going to be watching SPI a little on the long side today because the long-term chart is not overbought. So we will continue watching SPI on the long side today, all right? With the price target being $8 for now. Yes, all right. Now, again, it's really like $8 if we can get back through resistance zone. This is the current resistance zone of the market on SPI. Okay. Next one, this is MTSL. So MTSL was a penny stock that's already broken up from Friday, went into this morning pre-market, continuing to move. Think that this is already overbought. So yes, this is overbought, but the momentum still looks pretty decent here. So this is something where if you don't have an average ownership of the stock below 614, then you're pretty much guaranteed a loss if you continue to hold it. So if you're going to swing long and keep holding, you want to make sure you have an average below $6.13, $6.14. It could, and it's probably different than that. Actually, yeah. Yeah, we'll just keep it at about 614 right now. I could say 4, but that's a little much. So as long as you have an average ownership below 614 on this, then that would be that's good. Okay. Won't be getting on this afternoon. I do have quite a bit of work to, or quite a couple things to do outside of the house today. So I will not be online streaming a little later today. So again, MTSL, back to MTSL. This is something that, yes, we will be following a little bit today. I don't think I have shares as short on this stock. It is overbought. I can't remember the news off the top of my head. That was 616, shares all time, 719. I don't really see any news as to why this is really moving. So this is something that's kind of sketchy to me. So yeah, I'm kind of on like the bear side of this, thinking that this is going to end up giving back its gains because it's running on no news and it's overbought. So I'm kind of like hesitant on MTSL today. Something else to consider is SGOC. This is a stock that ran from 2 all the way to 18 on Friday, but it's also running on no news. So it's kind of like, So I feel like this is something that you should be very careful with if you're watching it on the long side. You might want to be optimistically bearish, and that's really just because it's overbought and it doesn't have any news in which the stock is actually running or related to. So kind of sketchy in that regard. All right, and those are really the main, and again, for SGOC, if you were going to try to swing trade this or, hold this for a couple days or something like this on the long side, you would need to have an average ownership price of below $6 in order to stay safe from a corrective crash on the stock or to stay positive, okay? Now we will move on over to... what should we look at next? Boy, oh boy. We kind of covered SPCE. We went over MTSL, SGOC, FCEL we can talk about. I do believe there was, not that I believe, I know so. There was news that FCL ended up winning their court case, something like that. So that's good news for them for right now. I mean, to put it simply, I think you should be more on the long side of this for right now with the dip that it's in, and your target price on the long side of FCEL currently would be like back to $8.63, I believe. So for right now, you should be trying to get FCEL maybe back to $8.63 if you're trying to be long bias that stock. Excuse me. All right, so yeah, FCEL, I think 860 is what I just said. Yeah, on the long side of that stock, I think at most you would look for is about 860. I don't think MTSL is easy to borrow. Clove. Yeah, we should take a look at Clove. It's kind of been a while since I've looked at this myself. Well, not really. I mean, of course I saw it last week, but... I feel like Clove looks bad, but it's going to give us a bounce. That's the way I feel. I feel like it doesn't look good, but it's going to give us some like random pop back up. But before I give some unicorn analysis, let's be realistic here. So with Mr. Clover Magoo, so we already broke that. It's kind of awkward though. It's just not. All right, so I'm gonna just like explain this a little differently. So the market has broken down this white line, right? So it's like the bears are trying to move it away from the mean. If somehow the bulls are strong enough to keep this from breaking down anymore, then the move that you're currently, or then Clove should reverse this move back to those white lines, which would be 10 to like 10.15. So you're at 920 right now. The long target on the way back up would really only be to like 990, 10.15 or so. On the downside, the bears are trying to get this market to like swing all the way to 780. So if we look at the past, or if we zoom in here, you will see there's this like little dotted line there. That's pretty much what the market's been trying to support the past couple days on Clove. So if the bulls fail to continue supporting the half deviation price of $9 today, then you should see another bearish move down on Clove. So this is the $9 price. If the bulls don't hold this, that's where we might continue to see that weakness. So for now, it does appear that you have a slight support on Clove at 9. But I would say myself, I would start becoming slightly more bullish just in relation to where we sold off and where we're at now. We've kind of come down into some buying prices, so kind of change into more on the long side, but we're not quite on a support that I would buy off of on that. Oh, something I will mention that somebody might like is Tiva. So this is something I will say has good opportunity for a potential swing trade. It's a little late. If you look at Tiva, you will see that it came down the other day and bounced perfectly off of the green -2 deviation mark, started to bounce. So if anybody wants to trade something slower, I would say you could watch Tiva on the long side, maybe as high as 957 to 968 here. CLNE. CLNE probably more on the long side than you would be the bear side, and only because you went all the way up, you sold all the way down back to kind of the -1 deviation mark. So you're pretty much looking for, maybe a flag pattern here, but a break of CLNE back through 921. And if you can get CLNE back through 921, I really don't have a price target that you should probably go for after that, because they're all pretty far away. So I don't even feel comfortable saying that. So I do think you're in sort of a dip long right now with CLNE. Something else to note is that like BLNK, all of these stocks like BLNK, larger energy stocks, energy names, have been pulling back and selling off. That's what's kind of been dragging down SUNW and a few of the other plays. But anyways, the energy sector, some of these plays have been pulling back. But most of them are starting to come down to their -1 deviation marks, which means they're back at support. So we should start seeing those get bought up again a little bit here. So you'll see like SUNW, last week we gave the analysis. When this broke the price action trend, it would then go to its long-term statistical trend. So this was price action trend, and these yellow lines here were long-term statistical trend. So once price action broke, then we would swing to the statistical trend, which is usually a stronger trend. And if I look at this time frame, you'll see that yellow line there, right? So it's not like I'm just bullshitting you. And like, no, we break price action, we're going to swing to statistical trend. So this is where we recommended you would dip by SUNW last week when it broke this trend here. You would dip by here. So we're kind of onto the dip buy move with SUNW. And so if you kind of missed the initial reversal long price point, that was off the -1 mark on SUNW. So now it's just a matter of, do they hold above the -1 mark and start to trend back up is all. All right, so I'm just going to quickly kind of run through some of the stocks being talked about here. So another one was NNDM. Hold on. And then I'm going to make sure I cover AMC here at the end really quickly too. NNDM looks like it sold off, hit support at 666. You can see, look at this. I already have 2 red lines on NNDM, right? So like, you know how I would say, oh, you want to be long at these 2 red lines, or you want to be, this will be resistance at these 2 red lines. You'll see I already have 2 red lines on my chart, and you can see where NNDM bounced. So I can almost guarantee that when I change this time frame to the longer term time frames, I'm pretty much going to end up pointing at 180-day 4-hour, 100 in a 1-year day. And once we go to those 2 time frames, you're going to come to find that these 2 red lines are probably mapped right over long-term support, or they're very close. So let's switch it to a daily chart. Oh, look at that. What happens when you go to the daily chart? What's right there? They're not exact because they changed a little bit, but you can see there's that -1 deviation mark. So let's add it to where it's correctly at. And then if we switch this to a 4-hour, okay, so that was just, no. All right, so there we go. It's really just this. So this would have been the level that I would have mentioned was, hold on. Scusi. So this would have been the level I would mention would have been the buy point for NNDM. You can see we shifted below it a little bit, came back up above it, and then went. So you've already missed your low risk dip long price point. Now it's a matter of kind of getting through price action resistance to force a short squeeze, so to speak. So yeah, I would be more on the long side. More on the long side for right now. Pretty much the way I'm following NNDM, ENG, SUNW, Plug, BLNK, all those energy plays for me is as long as they're staying over the +1 deviation, as long as they're staying over the -1 deviation on the long-term charts, and they're all still kind of a thumbs up for me. It's when we start to kind of get below those, I would start to be a little more nervous. CARV, which I was completely wrong about, I think on Friday. Maybe I wasn't. I think on Friday I thought it was going to be a challenging trader, which it kind of was, but wasn't, because it had a great long move and then a great sell-off. So it wasn't a choppy, annoying trading, but it did go back and forth. So I was kind of right, but for the most part, wrong. But anyways, I don't think CARV is going to have a gigantic day today. I think it's going to be a choppier inside day. So pretty much the same analysis that I was giving on Friday is the same one I'm going to give today. I think it's going to be a choppy, annoying trading stock for most people. The stock SPI has started kind of coming back up. It's kind of back at resistance, arguably, but if it can get through, yeah, it looks like SPI is starting to move fairly decent. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta run. That is, I would say that's about the time I gotta make it to. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button before you head out, and I will see you guys on the next stream.